Hey folks, Eric at the Whatever Guy, because it really is whatever me. Do you folks want to know about this legislative fix that is supposed to get the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission out of court? You guys stick around, man. We'll talk about that. As you guys know, man, my name is Eric. I am the Whatever Guy. I usually videos a couple days a week, basically keeping you guys updated in the world Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, hemp cannabis, what's going on around. And today, man, sitting here bullshitting around on early Friday morning, getting ready to talk to you guys about this legislative fix. I know that it's been posted on social media for the last couple of days. Antoine Mordecan actually sent me the initial article, I think, on a couple of days ago. It usually takes me a day or two to actually process what's going on and get my thoughts straight. I've actually been watching what's going on and watching the debut of it in the legislature. It didn't do very well yesterday when it debuted the way it did. But having said that, man, there's a lot of issues going on. Like I've been a big proponent for for open markets from the very beginning, but doing it this way is just going to mess it's going to mess it up even worse than it already is, especially for those people that were actually went through the process, did the work, did everything that they were supposed to do to get a license. And now we're going to fall forward into a position where we're just going to give people licenses. Like the AMCC has not followed the rules that the legislator laid out from the very beginning. Like these people were supposed to have buildings up. They were supposed to have all their processes in place, $2 million performance bond, and be ready to produce marijuana within 90 days of the issuance of the license. And probably none of those companies out there, but a couple, can actually do that. But now we're going to get to a position where we're just going to issue licenses to anybody and everybody that has taken the AMCC to court, simply because the AMCC doesn't want to do things the way they're supposed to, like by law, the Open Meetings Act, do things out in the open the way they're supposed to. These licenses were coveted the way they were. And now basically what you're going to do is water those licenses down. Because here's the thing, right? If we're going to, I know Josh Moon in this article that we're going to flip over to a marijuana moment, I know he's kind of leans towards one way or the other, but there's a lot of things that he does point out in this article. And there's a few things that he omits in this article also. Not only are they going to expand, those integrated licenses to 15, I believe they're going to expand some of those lower tier licenses also. So basically what you're done is like all those people that went through all the hard work and did everything right the way they're supposed to and got awarded licenses. Now we're basically going to water those licenses down, because here's the thing. Each one of those integrated facilities is allowed to have 4 dispensaries, okay? So that's 20 integrated facilities. We're not talking about the lower tier licenses, because there's lower tier dispensary licenses that were issued. We're talking about just the the integrated facility licenses. That's 80 dispensaries. We're talking 80 plus dispensaries in the state of Alabama. It's not going to work. Like, where are you going to put 80 plus dispensaries? And how many of those dispensaries are actually going to make money? I've been in this space for quite a while, and I have actually talked to investors that were looking into getting into, like investing into dispensaries and stuff that were already up. And there's a bunch of companies out there that will give you their financials. And all you got to do is get those financials and look. And what you will find out is that about 95% of all those cannabis companies in all of these states are not making money. They're paying a shitload of taxes, but they're not making any money. The employees are really the only ones that are making money, and the government is the only one that's making money, because every one of those financials I read, 95% of them were in the hole. I think I found 2 financials of companies that were actually making money, that were actually in the green. Everybody else was in the red. Okay. And these were companies that were past, the 3-year mark. Now, we all know that when you file taxes, you start a company, you want to make it, file taxes to where you're in the hole the first 3 years. And there's a lot of things that can be done to make sure that happens. And people do that. I do it. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, once you get past that 3 years, you should be doing some sort of profit if you have done your business plan the right way, have scaled your business plan the way it's supposed to be scaled. And a lot of those companies, man, a lot of those dispensaries have been in place 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and they're still operating in the red. So but I digress for a second. We're going to flip over here to an article, like I said, over here at Marijuana Moment. And this article is by Josh Moon. And like I said, I understand Josh Moon kind of leans a certain way with his stuff, but like I said, there are some facts in this article right here, and 1 or 2 things that he did omit. Like I said, the legislative fix for the Medical Cannabis Commission doesn't appear to fix anything. It says the new goal of the medical weed bill is to get the commission out of court, and it's not clear that this bill does that. All right. It says the Alabama Legislature apparently wants to bail out the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission. Legislation introduced Tuesday and surprisingly carried by Senator David Sessions would expand the number of integrated licenses offered by the AMCC from 5 to 15. And it would award 9 of those to companies previously awarded licenses during a flawed process. So that means those 9 companies that are out there that didn't meet the process, that failed to meet the things that they were supposed to meet, we're just going to give them a license. The specifics of the legislation caught interested parties and several lawmakers by surprise, since it contained a number of provisions not previously discussed that were extremely favorable for the AMCC and certain cannabis applicants. The legislation filed today by Senator David Sessions does not fix any of the issues that have plagued the process of bringing medical cannabis to patients in Alabama, said Attorney Will Somerville, who has represented plaintiffs in a number of legal actions against the AMCC and its licensing process. In fact, this bill is even worse than the status quo. This bill will automatically give licenses to the 9 companies who were wrongly awarded licenses last year by the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission based purely on politics and favoritism. There's little denying that the bill was crafted to halt the litany of lawsuits facing the AMCC and make it all but impossible for any applicant with a complaint to bring additional legal action. Even Sessions said as much. The goal is to try and get the commission out of court. It certainly attempts to do so, although it's not clear if it succeeds. The bill would completely revamp the way medical cannabis licenses are awarded, taking the process out of the hands of the AMCC and instead appointing an administrative law judge to make the decision. However, as Somerville pointed out, the legislation would also reward applicants that even the AMCC has admitted shouldn't receive a license, and it would arbitrarily grant licenses to companies that fail to meet the basic standards established by the legislature when it crafted the original medical marijuana legislation. For example, as part of the basic requirements for applicants, the legislature mandated that each company carry a $2 million performance bond. The AMCC flatly ignored that directive in its licensing process, an act that has been one of the centerpieces of ongoing litigation. Several applicants have failed to secure a bond even now, including many of the companies that would be awarded licenses under Sessions' bill, a bill that still carries the requirements for a $2 million performance bond for the companies vying for the remaining 6 licenses. All but 2 of the 9 companies do not meet the basic statutory requirements set forth by the original medical cannabis legislation. Only 1 of the 9 had the required performance bond required by law, and only 2 have built grow facilities required under the Act. The original law states in 3 places that the legislature did not intend to give a license to any out-of-state company that sells recreational cannabis. SB 276 would grant licenses in Alabama to 2 of the largest sellers of recreational marijuana across America. The legislation appears to yet another misstep in a process that has been plagued almost exclusively with missteps since the original legislation passed in 2021. Certainly, the licensing process has been nothing short of an absolute mess. Plagued by litigation, much of it successful, the AMCC has been forced twice to admit mistakes and restart the licensure process after it had already awarded the licenses to several companies. The first snap coup came after the initial round of licenses last June, after lawsuits were filed challenging the legitimacy of the scoring process implemented by the allegedly independent graders working through the University of South Alabama. The AMCC tossed out the awards and called its process flawed. Another round of licenses were awarded in August, and those 2 were stopped by litigation. The AMCC agreed to make a 3rd attempt after implementing additional changes to its scoring and awarding processes. That attempt failed as well, and the 2 sides, the AMCC and numerous cannabis companies vying for licenses, remain locked in litigation that has now reached the Alabama Civil Court of Appeals. Guys, this is crazy right here. Like, I talked to Antoine the other day, and he told me he was getting in the car like the next morning. I think that would probably be Wednesday or Thursday morning that he was heading up there to actually let them know what he thought about this whole thing, man. There's none of these cannabis companies, like, this law passes through, if this goes through, they're not making any money. Like, there is no way that you're going to put 80+ dispensaries in the state of Alabama and expect to make money. There's not even a clear path for doctors to prescribe medical marijuana in the state of Alabama right now. Like, they haven't even crossed that bridge, looked at it, decided what they were going to do with it. Like, there's not one doctor in the state of Alabama that is ready to issue you a medical marijuana card so that you can go buy medical marijuana. And here's the thing, guys, once these rural Alabamians are not fixing to drive 200 or 300 miles to get, to a doctor, to get a medical marijuana card, and then, 200 or 300 miles to a dispensary to get medical marijuana. And there's not enough of them that are going to the medical dispensaries to keep a dispensary running. Like, 40 dispensaries in the state would have been too many. Now we're doing 80+. Like, all the, and like I said, my understanding is that they're going to, expand the amount of some of the lower tier licenses too. I think I saw cultivation in there. I could be wrong in that, but either way, if they expand those licenses, people like Antoine, man, that actually did the work, did the thing they were supposed to do, they're basically, they basically wasted their time. This whole fucking bill right here dilutes the process right down to the beginning. And as a matter of fact, like I told my owners the other day, like, I would not get in the medical marijuana market in Alabama right now. Like, I would not even think about going into the medical marijuana market in the state of Alabama, knowing what they're trying to do here. Like if they had they should have fixed the AMCC. The legislator, that bill should have been wrote to force the AMCC to follow the fucking rules that the legislator laid out. That would have been a better bill all the way around. But I digress, and I apologize for, like I said, raining. I hope you guys appreciate the article. I will talk to you guys later. Love you. See ya.